In just a second, we're going to be, there we go. We are recording. All right. So the first question I have is not a difficult question. It's this question right here. This is 4.127/10. 4.127/10. And it gives us a table. And I'm just going to go ahead and just dump it in Excel. So that way you can type it in your calculator and I can be working on it while you are typing it in your calculator. And there is that's the data. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger for you and center it and open this up a little bit. We're talking about how big somebody's head is. That's funny. Reminds me of my high school days when we used to call each other Big Head. But anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to graph this. So I'm going to, well, I'll let y'all go ahead and type it in. I'll go ahead and type it in too. Well, I really don't want, well, I'll go ahead and type it in. It doesn't matter. It'll just take me longer. I'm going to try to do it with the keyboard here. 27. Oh, I got to go to, sorry, stat, edit. I really don't want to mess that up because that's another question. I'll tell you what, I'm going to wait because I've got another question, homework question in here, and I'm just going to do everything on the calculator. I mean, on the Excel spreadsheet. So I'm going to hit insert. And there is the data points. And I'm going to click on one of the data points and I'm going to click on right click on the X and go to trend line and go to display and display. And there is my data, or there's the equation for the best fit line and my R squared. Of course, I'm going to have to go over here and I'm going to have to say R is equal to, and that's going to be 0.78 raised to the 1/2 power. Okay. So I need y'all to make sure you can get all that on your calculator, and you should be able to. Somebody check my R and make sure on your calculator that it's 0.8832. While I pull up my handy dandy Word document. Yeah, Miss Dennis, you sound like my daughter. My daughter, she tries to find, you know, I don't want to say excuses for people, but she tries to be optimistic, and I'm like, you know, the drill instructor in me, or not the drill instructor, the Marine in me just were like, really, you know. So I appreciate your optimism, Miss Dennis.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Glad I could help. Are you always optimistic, Miss Dennis?
I try to be because I have boys.
Yep. How many do you have?
Well, I have one boy and one grown man.
I'm gonna tell you something. People say after they get through with children, they say, "Oh, I wish I had another one." Oh, hell no. I'm good with 2.
I got 3.
Oh, bless your heart.
I
Honestly,
was good with 2, but I have a 12-year-old, but I have a 35-year-old and a 25-year-old.
Good gracious.
Things happen.
They, you know, I love my children, and I'd take a bullet for them, and I'd do anything for them. But I don't think I could handle another one. Woo! I don't think I could. All right. So tell me what y'all got. Did y'all get these numbers? Did you get 0.8832? I'm going to write all this stuff down. Y is equal to 0.2214x plus 11.382. And R is equal to 0.88. Now, I'm going to go back and I'm not going to ask y'all to talk to me. So what I'm going to ask you to do is, if you got the same thing I got, raise your hand right quick so I can see that some of y'all are, y'all hit the hand, but y'all won't talk to me. So leave it up, please, till I tell you to take it down so I can make sure everybody is with me, at least half the class. Leave your hands up, please. Okay, we got about, well, close to half. Okay, there we go. Okay, good, good. Okay, so most of the class has got it. Now, those of you that don't have it yet, or is just slow typing it in, or you don't have a calculator, or what's up? You having problems, or what's up? Okay. All right, nobody's going to say anything. So take your hands down. We got 13 of y'all, that 13 out of 16 that got it. Take your hand down, Mr. Broom, so I don't think you have a question. And Ms. Scarborough, take your hand down, please. That way I don't think you have a question. Okay. All right, so let's go back to the question. And the question, well, first we got to draw, I forgot to look at I think it's this one. Okay, our plot is going left to right. Got 3 on the left, got 2 in the middle, 1 and 2, and it's going between the second dot, and it's going right below the last dot. So we're looking for that 3, 2, 1, 1, 1, and it's a positive slope. So there's 3, 2, 1, 1, 1. That's not it. That's not it. 3, 2, 1, 1, 1. So we got 2 that look alike. And I'm looking to see which one's different. I really don't see which one's different unless you blow it up. You're gonna have to blow it up.
How come it's not B?
Because these dots are going this way.
Oh, okay.
See these dots? So you can take D and B, Bravo and Delta, the 3 dots. You're looking for a pattern. And what I'm going to pull up again. And when I looked at the pattern, I saw these 3 dots right here going vertically. So you're looking for 3 dots, 2 dots, 1, 1, 1. So I go back to the question, and the first thing I do is I mark off B and D, Bravo and Delta, because those 3 dots are going horizontal.
Okay.
So it looks like
it's not A.
It's A. A's the answer, but I really can't tell the difference between the two. I'm looking, but you might have to blow it up to actually see the difference. I think y'all see y'all see why I'm looking, because I don't see much of a difference. Do y'all?
It's the axes.
The axes. Okay. I didn't even look. Okay, 25 to 28, 16.9. No, they're the same.
They're the same.
The names of the axes.
Oh, there it is. Thank you. The label. I wasn't even looking at the label. This is circumference. This is height. This is height. This is circumference. So that's why that, see, head circumference. I'm sorry. That just makes me laugh. Head circumference, that basically is your x-axis. I'm sorry, your height is your x-axis. Head is your y-axis. And this is backwards. Thank you, Miss Cameron.
You're welcome.
Okay, now right here, this is something that they throw in here. Critical values. How many subjects do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So let's go look at the critical value for 8 subjects. For 8 subjects, your correlation coefficient is projected to be 0.707. So you need to write that down. Or projected R is equal to 0.707. So if it's less than 0.707, that means we got a negative slope. If it's more than 0.707, which it is, we've got a positive slope. And that's what they're going to ask you at the end of the problem. That's probably why somebody sent this problem, because of that question. So I'm trying to get back out of this and go down. There is our R, 0.883. That's what I got. Okay. Does a linear exist? Yes. Right here. Variables height and circumference are positively associated because you have a positive slope, and the critical value is greater than 0.707. Now this 0.707 comes from the table right here. I told you to write it down. Now, I really don't care about this last part because to me it's not important. What they are trying to show you is if you change the units, will it change anything about the information? No. If you change the units, you're still going to get the same outcome. Write that down. If you change the units, it will not change the outcome. So what they're doing is they're changing these 2 to centimeters, and you got 1 inch equals 2.54 centimeters. So what I'm going to do is go back to the Excel spreadsheet, and I'm going to change all these to centimeters. I'm going to go right here, and I'm going to say equals this number times 2.54. And I'm going to copy that down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, shoot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then technically you can copy that over. And that should be, yeah, that should be your answers. And if you was to do everything, and watch this, I'm going to do this. And I'm going to draw another. Does it change? Is that different from the previous graph? Yes or no?
No.
It's not different. And even if you do the line, add trend line, display, display. It's not any different. Now, I'm not going to go any further because that's all they're trying to show you. You can change it to feet if you wanted to. You could change it to miles. You could change it to millimeters. you're still going to get the same line. So different units equals same data. You're going to get the same outcome. I don't know what I'm not going to fill out all those. I don't know who sent this question or somebody that did this question. Can you tell me if it asks you the same stuff, or does it just ask you to fill this out, or what? Okay, thank you for your input. Anyway, that's what they're going to ask you to do. Okay, now I want to get to the next question because these two are pretty, the reason they're kind of complicated is because I haven't shown you how to do one of them. So that's why you might want to write these down. First of all, this is 4.2, 13/5. Let's see what this one is. Okay, let's do this one first. This one's in order. 7/4. 4.2, 7/4. Now, before we get started on this one, there's two parts to this. Go ahead and write down the points. I'm going to pull up the handy dandy. Okay, there's two parts in this problem. And I told you this the other day when we went into 4.2. One part, and I don't know why this thing won't stay focused. It's them dang Russians. Let me fix. There. All right. One, you got to be able to find the slope and the equation given 2 points. Okay, that's the first thing. Then you've got to know how to find the sum of the regressions. Now, I personally don't care anything about that. And I rarely have had to ever use the sum of the regressions. But the lead instructor that does the homework for this class and these classes wants it in there. So I have to abide by that. And I just want you to write down the following. Sum of regression is ... the summation of y minus y hat raised to the second power. And I'm going to tell you what all that is in just a second. And then the third, you need to be able to do the trend line. Oops. Why isn't, oh, because I got it. Okay. Okay, so you got to be able, in 4.2, you got to be able to do these three things. And I really don't care about the second one. Now, I'm going to, hopefully y'all got this written down. Everybody got this written down? Well, we're going to come back to it. So hopefully you got a lot of it written down. All right, here is the first part. The first part, we're going to graph it. Now, I've already graphed it on the Excel spreadsheet, if I can find it. I don't know if this is it. Yeah, this is it. So there, let me make sure, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, and then it ends 10, 15, 18. 10, 15, 18. Okay. Now, there is the drawing. You got a straight line with 4 and then 1 above. So let's find that one. Straight line below, straight line above, straight line below, straight line. So you know it's not A, C, or D. D, they're all in a straight line. So that knocks D out. Delta's not it. This dot is below and this dot is below. And we all see that the dot that's not in line is what? It's above. So we know that the answer is B, as in Bravo. Okay, now it says by hand, determine the least squares. No, that's not right. There we go. There we go. And then by the equation of the line, okay, here they are giving you a point and another point, and they want you to find the equation. This is the algebra that I told you that you have to know. So I'm going to take my handy dandy document cam, and we're going to do this right here. So B, we are given 2 points, and those points are 2, 3, and 7, 18. Now, I'm going to give you the slope formula, which all of you should know it. Okay, all of you should know it because you had pre-algebra, algebra 1, and algebra 2 before you took this class, or 101 and 102. So you should know it. M is equal to delta Y over delta X, which means Y sub 2 minus Y sub 1 over X sub 2 minus X sub 1. And the way I do that, parentheses minus parentheses over parentheses minus parentheses. And if you walk into my class, if you walk into my office 10 years from now and you say, Hubert, will you show me how to find the slope? I will use those parentheses. And I have 3.5 degrees and I still use these parentheses. Does anybody know why I still use those parentheses and I got 3.5 degrees? Why do I still use those parentheses?
In case you have a negative?
In case you have a negative. Good job. Miss Cameron, I'm really impressed. Okay, what else? A fraction. I have a fraction. Okay, but there's some people out there that invented this formula and they don't need those parentheses. So anyway, I'm going to read from left to right. Unless you're from the Middle East, Masalama, I learned that when I was in Saudi Arabia. X of 1, Y sub 1, X sub 2, Y sub 2. Masalama means go in peace. And I think, yeah, it does. I was having to jog my memory a little bit. Walk in peace, go in peace. Okay, so Y sub 2 is 18, 3, 7, and 2. 18 minus 3 is 15. 7 minus 2 is 5. So our slope is equal to what? 3. And we feel good about ourselves. Now what? Well, now we got to do part 2 of, and that's finding the equation. and we've got to pull a point. I'm going to use 2 and 3. Somebody tell me why I picked 2 and 3 as my point. Anybody take a guess?
It's smaller.
It's smaller. KISS method. Keep it simple. If you picked 7 and 18, you would still get the same answer, but it's larger numbers. You're going to use your point slope equation. Now, I'm going to highlight the 2 things because I'm a good teacher and I try to help my students. Y'all are welcome. I'm going to highlight the 2 formulas that are important. That's the first one. And the second one is the point slope equation. Now, of course, I told y'all this the other day when we went over the 4.2 material. Can somebody give me the page number that I told y'all that these 2 were found on? I gave y'all a page number. If you find it, let me know. It's 160 or something like that. I can't remember. 161 or 163, something like that. Okay, so I read from left to right. So this is x sub 1. This is y sub 1. Plug and chug. But I got to put my parentheses in here first. Y minus parentheses equals parentheses times x minus parentheses. And the only reason I use brackets is so it won't have parentheses on top of parentheses. That's why I use the brackets. No reason. You can use parentheses or braces if you want to. Y sub 1 is 3. My slope is equal to 3. And that goes there. And then my x sub 1 is 2. I'm not going to draw a line over here because that'll crisscross, and I don't like to do that. I'm showing you all my OCDs with center and everything and not crossing stuff. So everybody has OCD somewhere. Y minus 3 is equal to 3x minus 6. Y is equal to 3x minus 3. Now, given the 2 points that they gave us, we are saying that the points that they gave us, that's the line between the 2 points that they gave us. And that's the answer to the second part. There it is right there. And they want you to graph this line onto, and it's going to touch the first and the last point, which is this one. The first and the last point. And it just so happens that 2 other points are in line with those. Okay? Now, the third part. Now, that's where you go to the handy-dandy calculator. The third part, you go to your handy-dandy calculator or Excel spreadsheet. And here, I use those points right here. The yellow are the 2 points that we used to find 3x minus 3. And I plotted this and I put the trend line. And see, we're not far off because these points are in line, except for 1 point. So that's why this is close to that. And let's go ahead and find R also. R equal to, and that's equal to 0.9948 raised to the 0.5 power. Okay. All right. Now, all of you should be saying to yourself, I can handle all that. Okay, let's go down the list and let's just go down the list and let's write down what we just did. 1, we graph the points. Okay, you can do that with your calculator or your Excel spreadsheet or StatCrunch. 2, we are given 2 points. Find the slope and the equation. We did that. Now that takes a little bit of algebra, and you have to actually do that. 3, we graph that line on the, just connect the first and the last. Because usually when you're given these 2 points, you're going to be given the first point and the last point. That's usually what you're going to be given. And if you join those 2 points, you're going to have the straight line. Join first / last, or points given with line. Okay? And then 4, find the trend line. And I'm also going to put R there because when you find the trend line, you can find R. Now, all of that, y'all know how to do. Okay? The next part is what I need to show you because I really don't care about it, but they have it in the homework and the test, so not much the test because I make the test. And you have to take, you've got to find, it's called the sum of regression. And you got to find it for your 2 points, and you've got to find it for the trend line in this homework question. Okay, you've got to find it for the 2-point equation, which is right here, and you got to find it for the trend line. So that's the 2 numbers that you've got to find. And how do you do that? Well, I told you the sum of the regression is equal to the summation of y minus y hat squared. Now, we all know what y is. I mean, all of you know what y is. Y is these numbers right here. Then what's y hat? I'm going to write that down for you because it's important that you write it down because you're going to forget it if you try to remember it. So, what is y hat? Y hat is, hold on. Y hat is plugging X into the equation. Now, that could be the equation for the 2 points or / and, depending on the homework problem, or / and the equation for the trend line. So we've got 2 equations for the 2 points. We got the first one, which is, I'm just going to draw a column here. And we got for the 2 points given, we've got y is equal to 3x minus 3. And over here, we've got y is equal to, let me pull it up, 2.967x, 2.967x minus 2.6977, 2.6977. So right now, I want everybody to write down your x terms, which are 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. So this is what we're doing. I want you to put this in your notes and make it long enough that you have 2 or 3 columns over here. And over here, same thing. 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. Now, I want everybody to take your calculator and I want you to give me y hat, which is plug that number in, plug this number in, and give me y hat. And over here, I want you to give me y hat. So go ahead and do that. I'm going to give you a minute. So, and I want you to try to do it with, you should be able to do it with your calculator because this is, you know, plugging and chugging. You've been doing that since pre-algebra. Darn, this house is about dark. I could stand a little bit of lightning. I wish we should do a little bit of thunder and lightning, but I'll take the rain. Miss Dennis, you want to know why I really love the rain?
Yes. Why?
Because when I was growing up, I grew up on the farm. And when it rains, you can't work on the farm. And I got to watch cartoons. You laugh. I'm telling you the God's honest truth. That's why I love the rain. Because you don't feel guilty when you're in the house watching cartoons.
Oh my gosh.
That's it. That's why I grew up loving the rain because of that.
Hmm.
See, I've been working since I was about 7 or 8 years old. So I was looking for a way to get out of work long before I become an adult. Oh, me, oh my. When that day comes that I retire, I don't know what I'm going to do. I probably, my kids say I'm going to go crazy. They say I'm not going to retire.
You're not. You're going to try counting and volunteer to them.
Well, that's what everybody says. So, and then I'll come home and work on the farm.
If it's not raining.
If it's not raining, then I'll be watching cartoons. Coyote and Roadrunner and Bugs Bunny. That's what I always watched.
Oh.
And I didn't turn out to be crazy. So,
In your opinion?
in my opinion, yes. Okay, so if you plug those in, this is what you got. Here is the y hat, and let me put y hat, and I'm going to put parentheses. I'm going to put 2 points. Parentheses, 2 points. Close parentheses. And here is y hat, and I'm going to put trend line. I'll put trend. Okay. Now remember the formula. What does the formula say? The formula, I'm going back to the formula says the summation well, let me go down here. The summation of y minus y hat quantity squared. So now we've got y hat. Let me go ahead and write those down because I don't have them in my sheet. So hold on a second. Let's see. 3, 6, 9, 15, 18. 3, 6, 9, 15, 18. And over here, 3.25, 3.25, dot, 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 6.23, 6.23, dot, 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 9.20, dot, 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 15.16, dot, 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 and 18.13. Okay, so here is my y hat. Now the next column is going to be called what? Y minus y hat. Now, I'm not going to insult your intelligence by asking you what y is, because y'all all know what y is. Y is the y's in the y column. So you're going to take the y and subtract 3. You're going to take the y and subtract 6. The y and subtract 9. The y and subtract 15. And that's going to give you this column. And this column. So this is y hat of the 2 points, y minus y hat of the 2 points. And this is y minus y hat of the trend line. So I'm going to be writing those down. So y minus y hat on this one is going to be 0, 0, 1, 0, 0. 0, 1, no, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0. And over here, negative 0.25, negative 0.25, dot, 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 negative 0.23, dot, 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 negative 0.79, or that'd be positive. Positive 0.79, dot, 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 negative 0.16, dot, 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 and negative 0.13.
I don't think 1/6 is negative.
You don't think these are negative? Yeah, 15 minus 15.6. Yeah, that should be negative. And 18 minus 18.13 would be negative. Three from 3.25 from 3. I think you might have turned yours around. Okay, now the easy part. What does the formula say? It says y minus y squared, y minus y hat raised to the second power. And that's what you're going to do here. Y minus y hat, and you're going to raise it to the second power. Now I'm going to try to show you how to do this on your calculator also. But I haven't found how to do it with the point. So you're going to have to do one of these by hand. You're going to have to do this one by hand. This one you can find on your calculator. Okay, so I'll get to that in just a minute. So square each one. And that's going to give you the same thing. So y minus y hat quantity squared 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, and y minus y hat quantity squared 0.065 dot 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 0.05 dot 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 0.62 dot 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 0.02 dot 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 and 0.019 dot dot dot. And then what are you supposed to do with that formula? You're supposed to add them all up. And that's what I did there. And I got 1. And then over here, I got 0.790, 0.790698. Now, you're going to have to do these 3 columns right here because I haven't found a way to do it on the calculator. So I'm going to highlight those in a pinkish color because you have to be wary. You're going to have to do at least this right here. This you can do on your calculator after I show you, if I can remember how to do it. Now, I'm going to give you all a minute to catch up with anything you're writing down before I go to the calculator.
What's the number in the green box?
That is the sum of the regression.
Okay,
It's a
so what's
sum of regression? You'll see it in just a minute in the question.
okay? Because I can't
is it-
read the number either.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is it just too small?
Yeah.
I suck.
Yeah, it's pretty small.
Yeah, I suck. Hold on. Let me, there, how's that? Is that better?
Better, thank you.
Y'all are such divas. Just gotta have your way. Y'all high maintenance.
Now I can see.
Well, why didn't you say something? Squeaky door gets grease. Okay. Now, hopefully y'all got all that. Now let's go to the calculator. Now, as you can see, I typed in the numbers. There it is. And I'm going to go to stat just to go over some things. Calculate linear regression. L2, L1, and L2 calculate. Okay, write down that information. We did it. It will not, unless you do 2 numbers. Well, I just figured out how we could do that. We're going to have to go in and do 2 separate problems. Okay, go ahead and write this down. Our trend line is y equals 2.97 dot 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 x plus minus 2.697, and we got that right here. Okay, so however you find that out is up to you. And R is equal to 0.9974, and that's what we got for R. So all of you should be able to do this part on the calculator. Now I'm going to show you how to find this part right here. Does everybody understand that the calculator just went through this regression right here? Does everybody understand that? That's pretty much what the calculator has done. Now it remembers some things. Whenever you go through this regression screen, it's going to save the information under regression. You just got to find it. So what you do is you go to Stat, you go to Edit, you go over to L3 and put the L3, put the cursor on L3, and you hit Second Stat, which is List. And there is the residuals. And you hit Residuals, and you hit Enter, and it puts the residuals right there. Let me go through that again. Go to Stat, Edit, click on L3 or put the cursor on L3, Second Stat, Residual, Enter, and Enter. And it puts the residuals in the third column. Now I'm going to tell you how to get this green number right here, 0.790. Type Stat, calculate first variable statistic, number 1, and type in second L3 and calculate. And there, under summation x squared, 7906. There it is right there. I'll go through it again. Stat, calculate, first variable statistic, enter. Second, 3, look right above the 3 and you'll see L3. That's what you're hitting. L3 and calculate, and you're looking at the summation of x squared, which is 0.790697. And I can expand this a little bit. There. And let's see how they match up. 79069795. 790697. It's a little bit off. I don't know why. Maybe our rounding is off, but they only want 2 or 3 digits. This one's a little bit off. 790697. The calculator got 67 and we got 95. All right, that's how you find that. Now I'm going to show you how to find this one. But you're going to have to go to a separate, you're going to have to go to a different, go to Stat, go to Edit, and if you want to, go over to L4 and L5. Or you can just replace L1 and L2. Since we've already done this problem, I'm going to just replace it. So I'm going to put in 2, 3. You've already got 2 and 3 in there. Now I'm going to put in 7 and 18. And I'm going to delete the rest. Clear. Well, delete, delete, delete. And here, no, it's not going to do that. You're still going to have to do it. It's still, I'm not going to be able to do it because it's got to have these Y values to do all this. It's not going to do it. So you're going to have to do this by hand unless I can find a way. I'm still trying to find a way to do this part. So you're not going to be able to do it. Sorry. So you can do this with the calculator or do it by hand, or you can do this by hand, period. You've got to do this by hand. So let's go back to the question. And there's the trend line. Here is your 2-point line. Here's your trend line. And you can find it. I'm not going to, there it is, right? It should be right here. This one's below. This one's in line. This one's below. This is your answer. Okay, now they say compute the sum of the squared residuals, or sum of regression. Sum of the squared residuals found in part B. Well, part B was the 2 points. So that would be 1. Compute the sum of the regressions for the trend line. Round to 3 decimal places. So let's go to 0.791. And that's how you find the square of the residuals. The line in part, let's see which passes through the most points. I would say the least fit is what I would say. So I would say part D passes through the most points. The line in part I would say part D minimizes the sum of the square residuals. Now I may get it totally wrong. I did. So I have no idea what they're asking. Oh, I got that right. I got this wrong. The line in part, well, I meant part D. I'm sorry. Oh, it says the line in part B passes through the most points. So the line in part D minimizes, okay. What this is saying is the line through the 2 points, which is right here, it passes through the most points because these points are in line. The 4 points are in line. That's why. Okay. The part, this one doesn't because it's the best fit and it goes through and barely touches 1 or 2 of them. Like that one right there. It barely touches that one and barely touches that one. So just remember this. B passes through the most points and part D minimizes. Like I said, I like some parts of this question. I like A, I like B, I like C, and I like D. The rest of it, to me, is worthless. Okay? So another question was sent, and you need to try it. 120. And this is the one that was sent, and I'm going to let y'all do this one. I'm going to give y'all like 3 minutes to do as much as you can on this one. That's not the one. Wait a minute. This is a different question. I thought this was the same question. Hold on. Okay, I guess it's not. My bad. I thought these 2 questions were the same. All right. This one says the least squared regression equation is blah, 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 where Y is the median home income and X is the percentage of 25 years and older with at least a bachelor's degree in the region. The scatter diagram indicates a linear relation between the 2 variables with a correlation coefficient of 0.71, which is pretty strong. Complete parts A through D. Predict the median income of a region of which 25% of 25 years or older have at least a bachelor's degree. Well, we know these have at least a bachelor's degree. Predict the median income. Okay, well, first of all, we're going to have to, let's see, they already did this. Let me see what they're doing here, because I don't know that they were going to have to do a formula here. They're finding y hat for, well, where did they get? Okay, 25%. Okay, they're using, oh, okay, I see what, okay, I'm sorry. Do you see that? I didn't even see that. The percentage is down here. Okay, so 25% would be right in here on the least squares line. So you're going to plug in 25%, 25 right here. And that's what you're going to be doing. So type in 0.25 right here. So that's going to be, let's go to the handy dandy calculator, which I've disappeared. So let's go to the handy dandy calculator and pull the question back up. So I'm going to type in second quit, and I'm going to type in 0.25 times 647 and add 17,046. 17,046. So 17,207 says round to the nearest dollar. So that'd be 17,208. Okay. Don't know what they did then. Oh, I must have done something totally wrong. Or I'm supposed to type in 25, not 0.25. Let's try that again. Let's try 25 times 647 plus 17,207.75. No, 17,046. I'm sorry. I've never done this question before. 046. It must be a new question. There we go. I typed in 0.25. I'm sorry. It's 25. Type in 25, not 0.25. In a particular region, 28.4% of adults 25 years or older have at least a bachelor's degree. The median income in this region is $38,000. Is this income higher than you would expect? Okay, then type in 28.4 now. So 28.4 times 647 plus 17,046. 17,046. 35,420 is what we got. So the median income is 38,850. So the median is higher. Okay. Is this income higher than what you would expect? Well, the median is 38, so 35 would be lower than we expect. 35 what? 35, let's see, round to the nearest dollar, 35,421. 35,421. Okay, I'm just not understanding this question. Okay, I didn't type in a comma, and I said lower. Okay, I'm reading the question wrong. In a particular region, 28% of adults have at least a bachelor's degree. The median income is 38. Now, 38 is higher than 34, so I must be just reading the question wrong, because is this, okay, is this referring to 3835? Okay, I was referring to this. So is 38,850 higher than you would expect? And you would compare it to this and say higher, and don't forget to put your comma or it'll mark it wrong. Interpret the slope. Well, the slope is $647. So for every 647 for each year, you go up $647. So somewhere for every percent increase, adults having the median income, the median income increases for a median, I would say it's this one, 647. But I've gotten all these wrong, so hey, I got one right. Lucky me. Explain why it does not make sense to interpret the y-intercept. Somebody tell me why the y-intercept is 0. Well, this ain't the y-intercept. The y-intercept would be at 0. That means that you have no years. Okay, and that just doesn't make any sense. It's outside the scope. Let's see. I would say that the x value is outside the scope of the model, is what I would say. Or it could be D. Doesn't make sense. Scope of the model. Outside the scope of the model. 0 years or 0, let's see, it says percent. Let's read this again. X is the percentage of 25-year-olds with a bachelor's degree. 0 would mean there is 0 25-year-olds with bachelor's degree. Okay, that's what it means. It's just outside the scope. Is this a test question? Hail to the no. This is not a test question. Okay, and I've never seen this question before, so evidently this is a new test question, or a new homework question. Jeez, makes my head hurt. All right, so here they want you to plug in 25, not 0.25, but 25 into this equation. Okay, here they want you to plug in 28.4 and compare it to this number. And this number is what you are comparing. Basically, you're comparing this number to this one. And it's a little bit higher than expected. If this was 3,400, 34,000, then it would say lower than expected. Okay. This one, 647, the median income increases. Just look for that median income increases. And here you're looking for X is outside the scope. Not a very good question. All right, that takes care of the homework for today's session. Now, what are we going to talk about now? We're going to talk about probability. And I'm just going to talk a little bit about it because we're not going to go into it very much because we only got like 5 minutes before y'all start convulsing. So we'll just talk a little bit about it. And that means you do not have to worry about going into Chapter 5 homework. I believe it's Chapter 5, isn't it? Probability. Let's say you're going down a road. And I'm going to use Wild Hog Road. Wild Hog Road is a stretch of road about, I'd say it's close to 12, it'd be 10 to 15 miles long. And over here, you got the double bridges. I can't draw bridges, but there's a bridge. And then you got another bridge right here. If you're familiar with Anderson, You know where the double bridges are. And this is T-ville, Townville. And this is Anderson. And this is the lake. And this is Wild Hog Road. Wild Hog Road comes out right there at the Waffle House in Pendleton. Okay? And I think there's a QT across the road over here. Okay? And this way is Sandy Springs, and this way is Pendleton. Now, why am I drawing this? Well, the thing about Wild Hog Road is it's straight. It's pretty straight, and you can't pass on it. And it usually takes about 15 minutes to get from this point to this point. 15 to 20 minutes. Actually, 18 minutes. I've timed it. Okay? And that's going at a moderate speed. Of course, some of y'all go the speed of light, you think, and you think you can get here and there between 1 minute. But anyway, most people driving normally will get there, and you can't pass because it's straight and there's traffic going both ways, and it's kind of hard to pass. So why am I showing you this? Well, if you got an 8 o'clock class and you're traveling from West Anderson and you get on Wild Hog Road at 20 minutes till 8, you're going to be late. Why? Because as soon as you get on Wild Hog Road, the little blue-haired old ladies club, they have CB radios. They're going to get right in front of you. Does anybody know who the blue-haired little old ladies club is? They're the drivers that get in front of you, and how fast do they go? Come on, people. Y'all not going to interact with me at all? Okay.
They go like under.
They go between 33 and 35 miles an hour. Okay? They go between 33 and 35 miles an hour, and that's going downhill. It'll take you at least 30 minutes to get to Pendleton. Well, anyway, y'all all been behind this person. And you get right here at Pendleton High School, and you got about a quarter of a mile before you get to the red light. And this person's either going to turn left or turn right. And you get to about 200 feet before the red light, and you say, I bet that woman's going to turn left. And as soon as you say that, the left blinker goes on. How many times has that happened to you? Raise your hand. If that's happened to you before, raise your hand. That you said, that woman's going to turn left, or that man's going to turn left, and it actually happens. One person out of, okay, there we go. You know what you have just done? You have just foretold the future. True or false? That would be a big no. You have not foretold the future. No one can foretell the future. No one can foretell the future. Well, I just wrote the twice. If you ever meet somebody that can foretell the future or that claims, all you got to do is ask them one question. Does anybody know what question to ask? What's the one question? If somebody tells you that they can foretell the future or they can see into the future, what's the one question you should ask them? What are the lottery numbers for this Friday? Oh, well, that's not what I do. Well, then shut up. You can't tell the future. How many of you, raise your hands, how many of you have ever heard of 20 questions? Or 10 questions or 50 questions? It's a game you play. Somebody tell me how you play that game.
You ask a bunch of questions until the person guesses what you're talking about.
And what does that use? That uses deduction. Okay. First of all, if I've got a place that I tell the future and I charge you $25 to tell your future, if you walk in, first of all, that's going to tell me that you're insecure about your future. It's going to tell me that you're not confident with yourself. It's going to tell me that you're not confident with your life. So I'm already going to start deducing as soon as you walk in the door. And I'm going to ask you 20 questions, and I'm going to talk until I see your facial expressions and I see how you act towards some of the questions, and I'm going to deduce and I'm going to deduce. Well, how do I know that you're going to turn left up here? Well, if you live in West Anderson, why would you be taking Wild Hog Road? Because you're either going to Pendleton or Clemson, or you're going to Sandy Springs. Because if you live in West Anderson and you want to go to Sandy Springs, you basically have to go to Clemson Boulevard. Okay? Now, there is Centerville Road and all that, and I know that. But as far as the two main ways to get to Sandy Springs and Pendleton, Wild Hog Road is one. The other, and 85, and Wild Hog and 85 kind of run parallel. And the other one is Clemson Boulevard. But the thing I didn't tell you is there's 2 or 3 roads that go to Sandy Springs. So how do I know that she's going to turn left? Because if she was going to go to Sandy Springs, she would have turned right on one of these 3 roads. So what is probability? Probability is assigning a number between 0 and 1, between 0 and 1 to a prediction based on statistics or mathematics, whichever one you want to call it, based on stats or math, experience or logic. That's what probability is. Probability is assigning a number between 0 and 1 to a prediction based on stats or mathematics, experience or logic. That's what probability is. No one can foretell the future. If they could, all you got to do is ask them what the lottery numbers are. I actually had a friend of mine tell me that they could tell me my future by me writing down my dreams, and they would interpret my dreams. I'm just going to leave. I'm going to leave on that. Okay. I want you to think about the common sense right there. Someone else has to interpret your dreams that you thought up of, but they tell your future. Yeah. All right. So let's go ahead and shut her down. I'm going to shut off that. I'm going to shut off the recording, and let's